Cool. So this is our community class on meeting your spirit guides. I'm going to be going over all kinds of information about working with guides, how to receive information and messages from them, and boost your overall connection to your helpers. We all have helpers on the other side. And guides are part of what I've seen over the years. I've been working as a professional psychic medium, fifth generation, for a decade now. So I've done a lot of work with clients, and mediumship is something really interesting. But when I do mediumship readings, which is connecting with somebody who's passed away, I tend to see a lot of their spirit team. And I call it their spirit team, but it's angels, it's guides, it's ancestors, it's beings of white light. Um, Mediumship is a pretty high frequency. So when you get into that space of doing readings with the other side, you start seeing all kinds of stuff, including high vibrational beings that are not of Earth. And so when they present, they don't have a human body, but they're high frequency. So there's all kinds of stuff I can teach you about all of that. I will take questions at the end for general questions about the class content. If I open up the Zoom chat now and start looking through it, I will get really distracted. So I may look at it before we do the guided experience piece, just to see if there's any questions about anything I've covered before we go into the guided experience. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Okay. So you know you're at the right spot if this is a class that you remember signing up for. So a little bit about me, because I know our community is growing by the day. Some of you are in my Sacred Signals community and hear from me all the time, while others, this may be your very first experience with me. I had my gifts drop in overnight a decade ago. My family had this lineage. My grandmother on my dad's side of the family. So it's my dad, my grandmother, and her grandmother. And so that's as far back as I know we can officially trace it. My great great grandmother, Belle, used to see spirits on the farm that she had, and she would see her husband out on the farm working, and often he would be accompanied by a spirit. And so he'd come in for dinner, and she would tell her husband who was working on the farm with him that day. So those stories were shared from my grandmother to me, and so it's a blessing. I have done a lot of really interesting things over this last decade with my gifts, and that includes things like helping clients and a private detective looking at cold cases, mysterious deaths. I have my own 90-minute psychic stage show. I started that show in Las Vegas, and then I moved up to the Northwest section of the United States. And so now I perform at a casino in the Seattle area. So yeah, it's been a journey. It was not a journey I thought I was going to have, but Spirit had a different idea. And yeah, in August of 2015, so just coming up to that 10-year mark. And a lot of you have already heard that story about how the gifts came in, so I can save that for another time. But they quite literally dropped in overnight and changed my life forever. But here we are 10 years later. I'm delighted to be here with everybody in this class. Okay. Because I come from a corporate background and I actually owned a dating and matchmaking company before my gifts dropped in, I like an organized class. It helps me to stay on point, but I also think it helps us to navigate the energy of the class and what we're going to be walking through together. So this on your screen is where we're going to be headed during this class. You don't have to write this down. It's just for your own general knowledge. And then at the end, I will take some questions about the class content or anything you want me to go over. Couple of things I really ask you to keep in mind, especially for this class. Because I'm going to be taking you through a guided experience, I know some of you naturally in this class will be overachievers. And you will want this experience to be phenomenal, and you will want to sit down with your spirit guide and get a message and be, have this profound experience. There will be some of you that will have that. There will be others that will not have that experience. But it's not because there's something wrong with you or the experience or you weren't paying attention, whatever it was, right? Because in my experience, and I teach a lot of psychic development and work with a lot of really amazing students, I've noticed that in most cases, it takes some time and some what I would call layering. What I mean by that is this might be your very first time trying to connect with a spirit guide yourself. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. This may be something you've been doing and have had some connections in your life with your spirit team, maybe angels, guides, loved ones that have passed away. The more that you lean in to the intention, the request to work with your spirit team or a spirit guide, the more you will receive in that strength of connection between you and a spirit guide. So take this as another opportunity to connect and strengthen that connection. I would also say as point number 2, decide that you want to connect with your spirit guide. We get to be right. So I would practice leading up to when I take you through the guided experience. And then as you're doing this on your own moving forward, or if you're watching the replay, deciding that you want to have that connection to your spirit guide is a big piece of this. Inviting in that communication, that connection. A lot of what I've seen over the years is a member of our spirit team may not necessarily step forward unless we ask them. They don't want to interfere with our free will. You may have heard that about angels specifically. So guides and angels are kind of in the background, I would say. They may not agree with me on that statement. They are helping you and guiding you. But what I mean by in the background is they don't want to interfere with the free will that you have in this lifetime. So by you setting that intention and saying, I want to work with you, and you are doing so regularly, then you will find you'll have more interactions and more signs from your spirit guide. And yes, you can have more than one spirit guide. I would say for the purpose of this class, the intention could be that you call forward one, or you call forward one that's been working with you for a long time. Because I do see that spirit guides can shift depending on what is happening in your life and what you're going through and what you need. So you get to decide what you want to call forward in terms of a spirit guide for this class. And yeah, you can re-listen to this as many times as you want. And that guided experience would be the part that you would want to focus in on and listen back to that experience. I know this is a lot of text on the screen. Again, you'll have a copy of these slides with the replay. We do get asked a lot, at least the people I know that are psychics and do this kind of work, what are spirit guides? Who are they? There's all different kinds. And so that's why I think for the purpose of the guided experience during this class, picking one would be more helpful, I think, than just leaving it open-ended. But if you have experience doing this kind of interaction with spirit, with high frequencies, then you could absolutely leave it open. Or if you're feeling like, hey, why not? Let's just leave it open and see who shows up. You can do that too, because we will work with high frequencies. And so there will be a light being of high frequency to greet you. So ancestral, and you can read the screen here. I don't necessarily need to go through all of these. Animals are pretty popular. And when you see an animal in a place that feels peculiar for that animal, that's usually when I say, okay, pay attention to it, because it could be a sign. If you see the same kind of animal regularly, or an animal that is hanging around you a little bit more than you think it should. Some people will talk about like one hummingbird that'll come by regularly, or a hummingbird that will stop in front of their face and fly for a while. If you're on a road trip and there is a peculiar animal that crosses the road in front of your car, those are things that I'd be paying attention to. You'll know when it's a sign as a guide, a messenger, when something about it just feels a bit different than what you're used to, and your intuition will let you know that there is a message there for you. I've mentioned angels, and there are different kinds of angels. We're born with a guardian angel. I also regularly see what I would refer to in my language, our language, is like secondary angels, because I don't mean to offend them, but I usually see a big guardian angel and then secondary angels that are helping. Archangels I call in for special circumstances. What I mean by that is if I'm doing some kind of guided meditation, if I'm doing an energy clearing or an energy activation, I call in archangels to help with that. I do a lot of work with Archangel Michael and Archangel Metatron. So I talk with them pretty regularly. Archangel Raphael, I'll call in for special help if it's something related to physical or emotional health. But those are the three I tend to ask help from, and anyone can ask any of the angels for help at any time. Ascended Masters, you may have heard of these people before. My work with them is, you could refer to Jesus, Buddha, as ascended masters. I see them as people that lived a lifetime, an incarnation on Earth, and reached a level of enlightenment, and then they help us from the other side. I mentioned galactic star beings a little bit ago. I do sometimes, when I'm working with someone, will see a galactic being, and it's not anything scary, but they have really high pitched frequency. So they are interesting when they come in. And the frequency of angels, guides, and galactic beings all feel differently. And it's through meditation and through practicing these connections and setting the intentions where you'll start to feel differences. There are subtle differences, but you'll be able to feel a frequency shift, and you'll know with practice and time which is what: a guide, an angel, a galactic being, an ancestor. There are some people that work with nature spirits. I have had experiences interacting with fairy energy, for example. And so fairies, to me, how I would describe them, they're very playful, a bit mischievous, but they live in another frequency. It's almost like their frequency overlaps Earth frequency in a way. But yeah, we could do a whole class on elementals and all of that. And then specialty guides. So that's what I was talking about a minute ago with depending on what's happening in your life, you may have different guides moving in and out. So if you have a big career change, you're moving, perhaps you're going through your own spiritual awakening, you may find that you have different guides that are there to help you through those parts of your life. Okay, so how guides communicate with us. And so these are the examples that I prepared. Intuitive knowing, that's also known as claircognizance. It's where the information just drops in, like you just know what you know. Um, so if you feel like you have this flash of inspiration out of nowhere, maybe you weren't even thinking about the information that drops in, you were thinking about something completely different. You're like, wow, that just came out of left field. Pay attention to that. It can be your spirit team or a spirit guide um, giving you information. I do get a lot of reports about people having dreams, especially right now with the astrology that's activated. A lot of people are having wild dreams where they are doing all kinds of things. Some people are astral traveling, flying around. Some people are doing healings on the other side. Some are connecting with people that have passed away. So pay attention to the dreams you're having. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at night or when your bedtime normally is. You could be laying on your sofa and take a little quick snooze, and your energy starts to astral travel and leave your physical body. So those are interesting experiences as well. So just pay attention to those when they happen. Signs and synchronicities. So a lot of folks will talk about seeing the same number over and over again, like 11, 22, 33, 44. Those are really popular repetitive numbers that are associated with messages from your spirit team. I've also worked with people over the years where they have a loved one that passed away, and their loved one really loved a certain song or a certain band. And so they know that when that song comes out of nowhere, or they're in their car and they're on a different station they normally listen to, and that song comes on, they know that it's a message from their loved one. I had someone text me the other day, and they are on a trip to celebrate what would have been her daughter that passed away years ago. It would have been her daughter's birthday. And she got in the car and didn't have any technology hooked up to anything on this trip and couldn't figure out how it happened, but her daughter's song started playing in the car. I love hearing stories like that. Maybe you have some of your own. Seeing feathers, yes, feathers are a sign. I'm actually going to be teaching, the next community class is going to be on decoding angel messages and repetitive numbers. So we'll cover that because you could go down a big rabbit hole with all of that. So that's going to be the next community class to give you a heads up there. So we're going over the numbers and the frequency of the numbers and what the messages are and how to work more with your angels. So it's kind of another step towards connecting more with your own spirit team. Trusting your inner voice, your inner guidance. Physical sensations. This happens to me all of the time, and maybe you're the same way, where part of your body or all of your body starts getting goosebumps. So when I'm in session with a client, for example, when I'm channeling, because I channel a lot, that when I say something that comes in from spirit, I say it aloud to my client. If it's something that's really important that my client is supposed to hear, I will feel it run up my legs. Some people will feel it in their arms. Some people will feel it in their head or the back of their neck. So just start paying attention to when you're getting some of these physical sensations and where you're getting them. Is it in your legs, your arms, the back of your neck, your whole body? Because when those come in out of the blue, I have learned that they are typically related to a presence being in the room. Divination tools. So this is if you wanted to use a tool to help you get messages. So pulling tarot cards, oracle cards, channeling. You can do automatic writing where you ask your spirit guide or your spirit team to give you messages, and you have pen and paper. And after you go into meditation, you can ask them, what do I need to hear today? And start writing it out. If you start doing automatic writing, I would keep the question very open-ended, like, what do I need to know today? And also recognize that after you get done with your automatic writing and you look back at it, you may not recognize the writing, or you may not recognize some of the words that you used. That is pretty typical for automatic writing, because you're channeling it in and it's coming out onto the paper through you. And have you ever had it happen where you run into the right person at the right time? Like maybe you were talking to a friend of yours and you said, gosh, I really need to find a handyman that can hang up all of those paintings around my house. And then a couple hours later, you're, out getting coffee and you're standing in line next to somebody that has a handyman shirt on with the logo, and you're like, whoa, I've been looking for a handyman, right? So the universe putting the right people in front of your pathway at the right time. So I feel that most of our experience on Earth is a lot of free will and some fate, some destiny. But I do think our spirit team is listening to us, and that when we need help, when we need something, they are there and they're ready to be asked and invited in to help with whatever it is that you need help with. A lot of people over the last several months have been sharing stories, particularly on my Instagram, about close calls that they've had and how they know that there was someone, something from beyond that intervened in a life situation. A lot of the examples that I've read are about car accidents. I remember somebody writing in saying right before they went through an intersection, they heard to stop. This voice from beyond told them to stop. And if they would have gone through the intersection, they would have been T-boned. So trust. And as I say that, I have my chills coming up my legs. And so I know that you're meant to hear that. I know that you're meant to hear that it's okay and it's beautiful to lean into your intuition and to follow that. Okay, so raising your vibration and connecting. I'm asked this question all the time. How do I actually hear from my spirit team? I have to give a quick mention because it's top of mind for me. There is a Joe Rogan podcast episode that came out, and he interviews the woman behind the Telepathy Tapes. The Telepathy Tapes is a podcast, and it dives into the world of non-speaking individuals and how they are connected to telepathy and how that may work with our consciousness. So if you're interested in telepathy and predictions, not that it's connected to predictions in that way, but if you're interested in how our consciousness can interact with our world, then I would check out the Telepathy Tapes podcast. And then if you want to take a look at Joe Rogan's podcast episode where he interviews the woman behind the Telepathy Tapes, it's fascinating. And he asks her a lot of questions about, well, how does this actually work? And you could tell that his mind was blown. And it is a popular question. How does it all work? So I believe through my experience that everything is energy, that everything has a frequency. So when we die, our energy doesn't die. Our physical body, we leave our physical body, but we are energy. And so our energy continues on. Our energy is magnet. And so what our energy embodies, that's why I was talking about the intentions, because your thoughts are alive. Your thoughts are living things. They are magnetic, they are energetic. And so what you believe, you become. Okay. So if your frequency is one where you're like, yes, I believe I can do this. I believe I can talk to my spirit guide. I believe in higher consciousness. I can do this. Like if that is the intention in the self-talk, you will create an energy, a frequency inside of you that will magnetize in the result. Okay. Kind of like manifesting. Manifesting, there's three. I'm getting a little bit off track, but I wanted to share this because I think it might be helpful in giving you some framework for this. So manifesting what you want, there's three primary steps. One, you have to have clarity about what you want. So it's that intention, right? And so with the new moons, when new moons happen, setting those intentions, setting the intention, getting clarity around what you want. The other step is you have to believe you're worthy of having it. Because if you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to manifest in a sports car, but you get to step 2 and you're like, oh, but I could never have it. That'll never happen for me. You get to be right. So most people start sabotaging it on step 2, because step 1, you can kind of figure out, okay, this is what I want. Step 2 is the worthiness. And step 3 is you actually have to take steps to get it. So if you're trying to manifest the person of your dreams showing up in your life, and yes, I'm worth it, and I'm amazing, and they're going to love me, but then you just sit at home, not going to happen. Sure, somebody out there has met the pizza delivery man that swept them off their feet, but let's not bank on that. Okay. So your thoughts are really important, your thoughts and your actions. So the intention, yes, I can connect with my spirit guide. Absolutely, I am worthy of connecting with my spirit guide. And I'm going to set those intentions and do the meditations and connect so that I can do it. And I'm open to that. And that's how you call in that frequency, because what you are, what you believe, you will attract in. Okay. So how do you raise your frequency? Because spirit energy is higher than ours naturally. You can think of it as like this frequency scale. Spirit's way up here. Okay. Humans are down here. On a bad day, we're even further down, depending on our emotion, our energy. So the higher we get our energy, like, yes, I can do this, and you're excited and you've got joy and happiness, you feel loved, right? Those are all high frequency. So the higher you can get your frequency, the higher you get to spirit, and the more you close that gap. So you're trying to get your own frequency high enough to where you can connect with the spirit realm. Okay. I'm hearing clairaudiently, so I'm going to mention it because I'm able to see, hear, and feel. And so when I teach, sometimes they start bringing in information. So when I'm talking to you about the scale, what I was just hearing from spirit was to mention, yes, to get high enough to communicate with angels and guides, it's way up here. But if you are really far down, and this isn't any judgment, but if you're really far down in the energy scale, so let's say that there's a lot of grief, a lot of shame, those kinds of like rage, those are all really low frequencies. And so spirit is saying that just as much as we can connect up here, be mindful and seek help and assistance if you're really down in the tunnel of those deeper, heavier feelings and emotions, because there are people that have had experiences, and maybe you know someone who's had experiences with darker energies or heavier energies, because we attract in what it is that we're embodying. So they wanted you to hear that. So I want to make sure I share that with you. Energetic clearings will help to keep your frequency higher. Because remember, you're trying to keep it as high as you can. So listening to high frequency music, some people will play crystal bowls or singing bowls. Breath work is huge. Meditation and breath work are incredibly important. Just using your breath to help you relax even more. The crystals I have listed here, I have 4 of them. These are generally the more popular crystals that you can find at just about any crystal shop, or your favorite crystal store online. But these are the 4 that help you to connect with those higher frequencies more. One of the things the telepathy tapes interview mentioned is that one of the non-speaking individuals that she was working with, they had a sensitivity to crystals, and that she realized, wow, crystals really do hold energy and frequency, because this individual would line them all up and then he would put his head next to all of the crystals because he could feel the crystal energy. So yes, crystals are powerful. You would want to clear the energy of them regularly. You can use a sage, a Palo Santo. You can put them out under the full moon. Some people use salt to clear them. And then journaling, getting it out onto paper. Usually most people start with meditation, guided meditations, singing bowls, having one crystal they may hold while they're doing their meditations, and setting that powerful intention that you're willing and ready to connect. So how do you know if they've actually been around you? Some people report that they just feel a presence in their home, that they feel that there is someone or something there with them, especially if they've been through a really difficult time. As I mentioned earlier, you may just feel that download come in of like, gosh, I wasn't even thinking about this, but it just popped in. That is an indication of a message. Dreams, repetitive numbers, and your strong gut feelings. Like I mentioned, the example of hearing that they need to stop before they go through the intersection. They actually call it, can't remember where I saw this originally, but the burnt toast theory. Maybe you've heard this before, but it is the theory, the belief that everything in your life is happening for you. And the idea of the burnt toast theory is that you are at home before work, let's say, and you're making toast, but gosh, you are in a hurry. You don't want to be late for work, but you're distracted. You've got 5 different things going on. And wouldn't you know it, you burn the toast. And you think about it and you're like, oh, I got to make some food. I'm hungry. Okay. Throw the burnt toast away and you make new toast. The theory is that there is nothing in your life that is an accident, that everything is happening for you, not to you. And so the burnt toast theory is, yeah, you were distracted and burnt the toast, but because you burnt the toast, you avoided the car accident that we were trying to prevent you from getting into this morning on your way to work. So the burnt toast, which can be seen as this hindrance or this annoyance, it's that reminder of, you know what? Everything's happening for me. It's okay that I burnt the toast. I'm going to make new toast. I'm going to be okay. And then I'll get to work. So knowing that anytime there is something thrown in your pathway that feels like a detour or a slow down or a pay attention, it probably is. Okay, so trusting the messages that you receive. As I've said, let go of any judgment of yourself, judgment of the experience. We're layering. This is one part of the layering to strengthen the connection between you and your spirit guide. So let go of any expectations that you have for yourself. The more that you can do that and just enjoy that peaceful experience I'm going to take you on, the more you can just relax and let it be what it needs to be, the better it is. Okay? Press the first message. When we get into the experience, I will have you interact with your guide. Now, some of you are going to be really good at seeing things visually with your eyes closed. Some of you can close your eyes and come up with a vision or a dream with your eyes closed. Some of you are not naturally able to lean into that ability. And that's okay, because you may feel something, you may hear something, you may sense something. So even if you don't see anything, please know that your guide is stepping in. Okay. And so when we're interacting with the guide, when I take you into the experience and you ask your guide a question, trust whatever it is that comes in. And like I said, you might not see something, but you might hear a word, or you might have a feeling, or maybe you just have this subtle knowingness wash over you. Okay. So trust the messages that are coming in. And maybe you get done with this tonight and you're like, gosh, I didn't get anything. That's okay too. But my suggestion would be to try again. Keep trying, keep setting the intentions. And maybe on some random night, you will have a dream with your guide, because it's when you've lowered the expectations, that's when they're able to really step in. Ask for confirmation. So you can ask your guide to give you a sign. The sign can be anything you kind of want to create, really. You can say, each morning before you leave your house to go somewhere, you could say, Spirit guide, please show me the number 11 today, for example. Okay. So just ask them for a sign, but you can ask them for a specific sign. If you're going to ask them for a specific sign, ask them and then get out of the way. Let them bring it in. Let them bring it to you. Because if you start doubting it, remember, your thoughts are living energy. So if the thought is, See, I knew they weren't here. I told them to bring me an 11. I didn't see an 11 all day. Ah, your frequency now is doubt, which is a different frequency. So ask for the sign and get out of the way. Know that that request has been received. And expressing gratitude to your guide actually helps you get more signs from them. It's like when you say thank you, they're like, oh, they got the message. Oh, send another one. So then the guide sends another sign. So say thank you when you notice the number 11, for example, or when you hear the word stop and it prevents you from going through the intersection that you would have been in a crash. Say thank you. I know most of you naturally just do that, but it does help that bond between you and your spirit helpers. So practice saying thank you when it happens. What can you ask your spirit guide? You can ask them all kinds of things. Here's the thing with a name, because I get this question a lot from students, from clients, like, oh, what's the name of my spirit guide? I'm like, we can ask. We can ask. So they don't feel it's that critical for you to have a name for them. Okay. So you may get their name, you may not get their name. Maybe you don't get their name tonight, but you get their name 6 months from now. Okay. So the name really isn't that critical. You can ask them how they send you signs or communicate with you. You can ask them questions about your life. What are you supposed to be doing in this lifetime? What can your spirit helpers help you with? So there's all kinds of examples here on the screen. How can I best serve my highest purpose? What past life experiences have influenced my present journey? That's a rabbit hole if I ever heard of one. Because we have all kinds of lifetimes we've lived. All kinds of lifetimes, all kinds of experience. We have been the good guy, the bad guy, and everything in between. Okay. So if you have a question on your heart that you want guidance on, that can be a link between you and your spirit guide, and a question that you can ask for guidance. Okay. Rituals to stay connected. So I've been talking about having that strong relationship between you and your spirit guide. Well, how can you actually do that? I mentioned the low-hanging fruit is going to be meditations. There's a great website called sacredacoustics.com. If you're looking for a high frequency binaural beat, sacredacoustics.com has a free 20-minute binaural beats audio file on their website. So if you go to sacredacoustics.com, I'm not connected with them, but ironically, the trip I was on 10 years ago when all my gifts came in, I was at a retreat, and the retreat had the woman who is a co-founder for Sacred Acoustics. So it is the audio file, the 20-minute free one on their website is the one I often use to channel before I go into a channeling. So just a little side tip there. Steve Noble on YouTube. Steve Noble, N-O-B like boy, E-L, Noble. His meditations are great. He uses a lot of angelic frequencies. So I'd recommend his meditations. But 5 to 10 minutes is kind of all you need a day to do it. So if this is something that's important to you and you want to strengthen this connection, meditation is pretty much a non-negotiable. It's something I really hit home with my psychic development and tarot students. If you really want that connection and to get messages for yourself, but then even if you wanted to get messages on behalf of other people, meditation is where it's at. And I hear all the time, oh, I can't meditate. Meditate, my brain gets all, active and talks all. It's like, yeah, at first, you got to keep doing it. So 5 to 10 minutes is really all you need. I would even start with 5 minutes. You can work your way up to 10. Some of the scientific studies they've done on meditation, your maximum benefit, because there are health benefits that scientists have pointed to with meditation, they've kind of proven at this point that 20 minutes is what you should aim for. But I think starting with 5 is absolutely fine. You will start noticing a difference when you meditate 5 minutes a day. Journaling, you can write down, I would suggest to you that you write down different signs and synchronicities that you're getting and you're seeing, like the number 11 and where did it show up. So I would keep a journal with all those really cool signs and synchronicities, as a reminder that you're loved and guided. As we mentioned already, I say as we mentioned because a lot of when I teach these classes, like when I put these slides together, a lot of it is channeled. And so as me and my spirit team, that you can ask them for a specific sign. And then talk to your guide like it's your friend. If you happen to have a commute to work, or if you have some alone time in the car, turn the radio off for a minute and just talk to your guide. And you can say it out loud, or you can say it to yourself. If you don't really have a lot of alone time, you can do it silently. Maybe you're taking a shower, maybe by yourself, maybe not, I don't know. But if you're in the shower, that's a really good place to talk to your spirit guide, because that is such a interesting spot where downloads will come in. So if you've ever noticed, you'll be in the shower and you'll get a reminder, or you'll get like this intuitive hunch about something. Yeah, it's because you're busy using soap and washing your hair and all that you're a little bit distracted. And so information can come in a little bit easier. But also, water is a conduit for psychic messages, for higher consciousness, for higher frequency. So speaking to your guide in the shower, or in the bath, can really help you feel that connection because of water being the conduit. So I would start getting in that habit of talking to them when you're bathing. Yes, you can ask your guide to come to you before you go to sleep at night. I, again, would remind you to release expectations. I found that the guide will typically come into a dream, or a loved one that you want to connect with will come into a dream when you're not expecting it. It's like when you've just fully relaxed, that's the night they come in. Okay. And yes, you can use divination tools if you want, but I would recommend clearing your energy, clearing the energy of you, any space that you spend a lot of time in. I would say with sage and Palo Santo, my tip on those, buy them from a source that you know, because, and some people can find like sage in the wild, just growing organically, because you don't know if they're spraying any chemicals on the sage or the Palo Santo. And so if you're lighting that in your home, you're going all around, you're inhaling chemicals that you set on fire. Okay. So just keep that in mind. There must be some spirit in here, like thinking it's funny, because my nose, if you've noticed, keep like itching my nose. It's like somebody's like got their fingertip and like touching the end of my nose. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, I would make sure that you're clearing your energy. It's just part of the ritual of having sacred space with your spirit guide. You can even take a sound bowl or a crystal bowl and you can play that high frequency sound in your home, and that will clear your home or your office or your body. So you don't have to burn sage or Palo Santo unless that's something you just really like to do. Okay, so here's an example of an intention that you can set. So we're getting closer to where I'm going to take you into that guided visualization. I invite my highest, most loving spirit guide to step forward now. I am open and ready to receive your guidance with gratitude and love. If you want to memorize it, you can memorize it, or you can just get the feel for what you see there on the screen. And you can incorporate this in when you're taking a shower or a bath, or you're in your car and you're just talking to your guide. You can say this exactly or whatever feels good to you. But it's part of that opening of the energy. Okay, so I'm going to stop the screen share for a minute. I'm going to check to see if we have any questions in the Zoom chat. And as I scratch my, oh my God, like, my spirit team is really funny. And so I'm sure that there's like something on my face and they think it's like hysterical. But anyway, so I'll look at the Zoom chat now and see if you have any general questions before we go in to Constance is saying that's so funny. I feel I'm being tickled on my face. Yeah. My face usually isn't what's activated, but man, I feel like somebody is right in front of my face. Yeah, a question. What if we never worked with a guide? That's okay. I if you think about it, most people walking around in the world today, maybe if they're religious, they've thought about their angels or getting help from angels, but most people walking around the world right now have never thought about their spirit guide. So the fact that you're even here and willing to try and connect, they love it, but they also come in to being a helper for you in this lifetime, not really expecting you to acknowledge them because they know the deal. But also, I believe this is a whole other rabbit hole, but I believe that before you're born, a lot of the details about your life and your mission, your purpose are sorted out. And so the guide knows, like, oh, we're going to have that kind of relationship where we're really working together in this lifetime. So, all that to say, I don't think that they're really surprised if we've never worked with them before. Yeah, thoughts go where energy flows. Absolutely. Maria's always talking to her guide. Is it normal to be nervous because we haven't done this before? So, I would reframe it into I'm excited. I'm excited. But I think each time you do this and each time you get another sign, you feel more of that connection, the easier it flows and gets. Yeah, so Spirit wants me to give you this example. So when I was a kid, my grandmother, we would sit in her living room and she would tell me about full body apparitions that she would see walking through her house. She could see what clothes they were wearing, ghosts. Like she could see them with her physical eyes. And I'd sit there and I'd ask her a bunch of questions because I was really intrigued by it, but I was also scared as a little kid. Like, I don't want to see all those spirits, in grandma's house. So when my gifts came in, they generally don't show me spirits as if they are full body apparitions in my space that I'm in. Instead, as a clairvoyant, I see it projected as like a symbol, a movie, an image. So it's kind of like they removed the fear. They're like, oh, Delisa doesn't want to see it like her grandmother saw them, but she signed up to do this. So we better like figure out how to show it to her in a way that feels safe. So that's been my journey with it. So all of that to say, I don't feel like they're going to just show up and try to scare you. Like that's not an intent that they have. And so if you're going into this experience that I'm going to guide you through and you hear something or feel something, I would say that intention, that frequency is that it is of the light. It is loving. Um, but if you are finding that you're afraid or there's fear involved in it, I would do some like other kinds of guided meditations, like just peace and calming or for bedtime to get you more used to working with energy and then try to go back in to meet your spirit guide again. Just so you get more comfortable with what the subtleties are in the energy and that you feel safe. Because I would never want anyone doing anything that they're fearful about. But I like reframing nervousness into excitement because basically a very similar energy, just a different way of looking at it. Oh, okay. So, good question. So, I've heard conflicting theories if a past loved one can be a spirit guide. Like, let's say your mom passed away, but I get signs all the time from her. So, yeah, there's like different types of guides. So, there's guides that really help you sort through different parts of your life. And you can have someone that has passed away be on your spirit team. I call it spirit team, but there are guides that are assigned to you to help you through different parts of your life. So your loved ones that have passed away can help you and can help guide you, but it's a different relationship because the guides are there to help you achieve certain things that you set out to achieve in this lifetime. So a guide and your deceased mother are both helpers. Hopefully that makes sense. They're just helping with different things or different. They signed up to play different parts for you on the other side. Yeah, sequential numbers are signs that spirit is around. So yeah, that's why I was like, I'm just going to do the decoding angel messages on the next one. Um, a lot of people see repetitive numbers, so I think it's worth a class. Oh, so is there anything in the non-physical world that can be harmful to us as we're trying to connect? So going back to what I was sharing about the frequency scale, if we are at a low frequency, then it can be a door for lower frequencies or lower beings to come in. An example of this would be people that I've worked with over the years that have entities. And I will literally see the entity living in their body. They're like hosting inside of their body. In my experience, the entity comes in from some kind of addiction. So, gambling, sex, alcohol, drugs. Um, so I feel like most or all of the people that I've seen that have low energy attached to them also have some kind of connection to addiction. And that entity is inside of them hosting and feeding off of that addictive energy. So I like to just protect the energy, clear the energy. And here's the deal, we are just starting to understand the depths of our consciousness and what our energy is doing and how it's affecting other people, other like animals, nature. Like we're so interconnected that a lot of people I talk to these days, maybe they're like really afraid. The tip I give them is ask, is this fear mine? Because we're these sponges picking up on energy from everywhere. So I would recommend clearing your energy regularly because you're picking up energy from anyone that you're talking to at the gas station, at the grocery store. You're picking up energy from everywhere. And it just kind of like sits on you because you're just soaking it in. So I would do energy clearing. Salt baths are like my go-to. Crystals, you can do like a selenite, a black obsidian, or a black tourmaline. Um, you can do sage or Palo Santo, but I would clear your energy regularly. You can ask Archangel Michael to come in and clear your energy. That's another way you can easily do it, like when you're in the car or the shower. If you're in the shower, you can ask the shower water to actually come down over the top of you and clear your energy. So that's an easy way to do it, and it doesn't cost you anything extra except for the water you're using. So angels are different from guides. So they're all kind of under the same umbrella of guides and helpers, but there are actual spirit guides that help you sort through different parts of your life, help you make decisions. Spirit guides to me feel more, their energy actually feels much more practical, whereas angels, they feel energetically very soft. So angels I always kind of think of as like a guardian, a helper, someone who holds you and loves you. So angels are different than a guide, but angels can help guide you. I know it gets a little bit complicated, which is why I'll give you the slides so you can look back at that list and see all of the examples of different guides that can help you. Yeah, so smells, yes. So that's actually called clairalienance. It's a psychic gift, but it's the ability to smell when you have a loved one, usually that's around you. Typically, any experiences I've seen with clairalienance or smelling is associated with somebody who's passed away and that they're in your space when you smell them. Let me take a look at this comment real quick. Wow, yeah. So Linda shared a really interesting story in the comments if you want to read that. Yeah, and then we have another comment in here about seeing a demon. Yeah, I've heard stories like that from other people as well, um, where they've seen the devil. Yeah. Ooh, okay. So we're going to go into the experience. Um, we will probably be in there. My guess is about 20-ish minutes. I channeled it before we jumped on, so I know where we need to go and what we need to do. So I'm going to say it's about 20, but we'll see. So this would be a really good time to silence any devices that you have. You can either be seated in a chair with your feet on the floor with your legs uncrossed, or you can be lying down in a comfortable position. My recommendation is to not lay down if you're really tired, because you would want to be awake to meet your spirit guide, unless you're doing it with the intention of inviting them into my dream, for example. No music, no music. So I will be channeling, since I am channeling this, the frequency of my voice will help you to get into the right space and the right frequency. When you are doing this on your own, you could always have me playing on one device and have music playing on another device, and you can do that. And I've also learned with the current state of technology that sound and hearing my voice with everyone's different devices, the sound doesn't really come through the way that I would want it to come through and sound for everyone. Some people hear it loudly or quietly, and it just kind of becomes a pain. So you're going to just listen to my voice. Legs uncrossed because it helps the flow of energy. Because if you're crossed, the energy doesn't flow as easily. So, but if you can't uncross your legs for whatever reason, that's okay too. Your intention, your thoughts about this are more important than your legs being crossed or uncrossed. But preferably feet on the floor. You can either leave your camera on or you can turn your camera off, whatever you feel comfortable with. Because all you'll be doing is listening to my voice. And see if there's anything else I want to tell you. No, I just want you to be as relaxed as possible for this. So if you're lying down, I would have like your palms, your arms open. If you're seated, you could have your palms face up. And if at any point you get lost through this, just bring yourself back to my voice. Okay. I'm going to be walking you through at the very beginning a couple of breath techniques. Easy. That'll help to bring you into that state of calm. So let's go ahead and let's just go for it. Let's go for it. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Get comfortable. So if there's anything that you need to adjust, go ahead and do that now. Right. So now that you're comfortable, let's go ahead and begin to relax your energy. So notice how your breath feels going in and out of your body. Be the observer of your breath. Becoming aware of how your breath is going in and out of your body. Feel your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Relax your face, your tongue. Relax your arms, your hands, your belly, down your legs and into your feet. Notice if there is anywhere else in your body that has tension, and breathe it out of your body. Give yourself permission to relax, to be here in this present moment, that you allow yourself to connect with a guide. You give yourself permission to explore with curiosity. that you allow in the high frequencies, that you allow information that's in your highest and best interest to come forward for you. That you approach this experience with love, with light, and with gratitude. Releasing all judgment and all expectations. I'm going to begin to take you into your breath even deeper. As you breathe in through your nose, say silently the word let. Breathing out of your mouth, saying to yourself the word go. Breathing in, let. Breathing out, go. And keep going, breathing in, let. Breathing out, go. Do a few more. Breathing in, let. Breathing out, go. Feeling your energy relax even more. I want you to begin to either see, feel, or know that your body is connected to Earth. You can grow tree roots out of the bottom of your feet. You can connect a cord from your spine that goes down into the earth. Begin to feel yourself connected to the earth, the sacred energy of Gaia. She is an energetic being herself, and she is loving and supportive, helping to keep your frequency high as we move to your spirit guide. So we're going to begin to journey outside of the physical body. You are connected with a cord from your soul, your energy, to your physical body. So you can see, hear, feel, or simply know that your energy is beginning to lift up out of your body, allowing you to hover over the physical space that you have been in. So you may be on top of the room that you're in, up at the ceiling. Maybe you're on top of a building that your physical body is inside of. So allow yourself to go higher above the building. And with ease and grace, you begin to move even higher, where you can start to see your town, your city underneath you. You can see the lights, cars, with that cord still connecting you down to your physical body so you can fly higher. Go up above the city, up above, even higher, where you're starting to see the country that you live in. And floating even higher, you see the earth in your sights. Floating in space. A weightlessness that you have. A protection all around you. Feeling free, feeling liberated. A deep sense of freedom as you float. And as you see Earth, our moon, the sun, the other planets, you're going to float a little bit higher, and you are going to take yourself into a sacred space in the middle of space. And it looks like a box with a door. So take yourself over to the box that you will be going inside of in a moment. But first, there is a door. And on the door, there is a number. And just see if you can see it or hear it or simply know what the number is on the door. And then you can go ahead and step inside of this space, inside of the room, all white walls. There are 2 chairs in the middle, and there is a fireplace with a fire roaring. Go ahead and sit down in one of those chairs, feeling the warmth of the fire. Getting comfortable in that chair. There is above the fireplace a painting. Notice if you can see it or if you have any indication of what's in that painting. Beautiful. And you're feeling the warmth of the energy in the room. And I'm now calling in your guide. This can be a spirit guide who is helping you through a time in your life. It can be an angel, a high frequency being, an ancestor, a loved one. So let's bring your guide in and invite them to sit in the chair across from you. And allowing their energy to start coming in more and more. Allowing yourself to sit with them. Maybe this is the first time you're interacting in this way with this guide. But the invitation is powerful. So see if you see or feel or hear anything about this guide that is sitting in front of you, and taking it in, allowing it to come in, noticing anything you can, or if there's a word that you're hearing. You can ask them for their name. You can ask them what they're helping you with or helping you to remember. You can ask them what sign they send you or what sign they give you to let you know that they're around. Sit with them for a few more moments. You can ask them anything that's on your heart. And perhaps you receive the information right back from them, or it acts as a powerful intention, strengthening the bond between the two of you. So take a few moments to interact with them. If you want to hug them, you can stand from the chairs and embrace. You can express your gratitude, taking a few moments to say thank you to them for all of their love and support. And if there's any last words for this interaction that you want to say to them, go ahead and say it to them now. They are beginning to exit out of the sacred space. So just allowing them the opportunity to exit. You are inside of the room with the fireplace and the painting. Take another look around the room and see if there's anything else you can see or sense. Taking it all in with curiosity. And the knowingness that anytime you want to connect with any one of your spirit helpers, you can come back to this sacred space and invite them to step forward, connecting with them, strengthening the relationship each time, being open to their messages and signs. So that cord that you have connected to your energy, you're going to start to feel it moving you back out of that sacred space, back out of the door in which you entered, going back into space, gliding gently towards earth, gliding closer to your country, your town, above the building you're in, and back down into your physical body, feeling yourself inside of your space, your physical space, feeling your body connected to earth, taking a few breaths, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And before you open your eyes, I want you to think back to the number on the door. And if you heard or saw or simply knew a number that was on the door. So remembering that number and taking yourself that memory of you being in the sacred space with the painting, remembering if there was anything you saw or knew about that painting and what was in the painting. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and just taking your time, bringing yourself all the way back in. Stretch if you need to stretch. So as it was mentioned during that experience, you can go back to it as often as you want. Might take a couple minutes to come all the way back in to your body, to your energy in your body. What was interesting about that channeling was Spirit was putting clues with the door and the painting into your experience. So if you did receive the number on the door, Spirit wants you to pay attention to that number when you see it as a sign from your guide. If you didn't get it the first time, I would absolutely recommend listening to it again, doing it again. And Spirit also included the painting as another message or sign. So depending on what it was that you saw or knew was in the painting, that's another clue. That space that I took you to is a very high frequency location. So when I do these group experiences, the intention is set that we move into that high frequency space. Because the frequency is imprinted on the recording, you can go back into it anytime you want. And you may even find that you get to a point where you can get to that room without the recording at all. So be open to how this unfolds for you. But whatever happened is part of that unfolding of the relationship that you have with your guide, your spirit team, your spirit helpers. If there are any other questions, please drop them in the Zoom chat. I do see that Karen wrote an odd coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, but I know what you're saying. My dog randomly started barking. If I had $1 for every time that happened during a meditation or a client session, it is very common when we're calling in the high frequencies. Animals are very sensitive to our frequency. And so anytime there is a shift in that, they tend to start barking. My cats will run around like they're crazy. It's very, very normal. Very normal. Oh yeah, Patty's saying my dog was barking outside. Oh yeah. So welcome to the club. Yeah, animals love it. Let's see what we have here. Any quick thoughts about seeing or feeling a flashing light while going through the guided experience? That is something that a lot of people report. Sometimes it starts as like flashes of light, which is you experiencing the energy, the frequency shifts. Sometimes if the flashing light has a color, it can indicate an archangel that's with you. So I'd pay attention to if you're seeing a color, and or it can be connected to one of your chakras. So sometimes people will see flashes of like dark blue or purple, and that is a sign that your crown chakra and your third eye are activated, and that you're tapping into higher frequencies. So that's really amazing. Yeah, so it's a good sign. Ah, so interesting question. I saw a passed away relative in the picture, the painting. Is that normal? Well, normal, I think, is, that's up for interpretation. I'm a psychic medium, so my definition of normal is probably a little bit different. But because Spirit asked the painting to contain a message, a sign for you, I would say that whatever is in that painting is an indication of a messenger that's around or something to pay attention to as far as a sign goes. So I would read that as your loved one is around you. So if you saw someone in the painting, that they're around you. So swan, yeah. So you can also, you can go on Google, ChatGPT, whatever you use. You can type in, so Harmony's saying that they saw a swan in the painting. So you can go on and type in the spiritual significance of seeing a swan, and it'll give you a whole rundown on what that is. So you can put that into your chat. Yeah. Um, Lisa saying saw green velvet. Yeah, and green is a very healing color, and it's often associated with Archangel Raphael. Oh, I love that. Victoria heard the name Tom. Yeah, I think we maybe sometimes think that the name we're going to get when we ask for their name, that it's going to be some like multi-syllable name we've never heard of before. Tom works. You know what? I've heard spirits. I've had guides when I've been working with clients, and the client's like, I really want the name. And I'm like, okay, all right, so I'll get the name. And then the spirit guide's like, it's really long and complicated. So they're like, can't you just call me whatever? And it's like, yeah, sure. So I'm not surprised that you heard the name Tom. So Leslie's saying, I saw a flash of white light all around like a fog and saw a flash of a face I've never seen before. Yes, that's amazing. I love that. Ooh, a wolf face, not scary. Yeah, and so wolves are messengers. It's part of the animal spirit guide, so you can look that up too. Oh, a painting was a pastoral scene. So if it was a scene, that could also be like a memory, like a past life connection. Yeah, saw the number on the door, but the frame was nothing was in the painting. I bet if you go back the next time, I bet there's something in the painting. Now that you kind of know what's been planted in the experience. Ah, okay, let's see. Okay, I'm getting to the bottom here. Oh, pretty pine tree. Maybe that was a pine tree you used to look at in the past life that you loved. Ah, interesting. Yeah, go back in and see what details you get the next time. Let's see. People sharing their experiences. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a question that was sent to me through the DM feature on Zoom asking if I didn't see the number on the door, but I got the thought. Yes, that's claircognizance. So they'll drop in information. So knowing but not seeing it is still the same. So if you heard the number or thought the number but you didn't see it, yes, it's the number. Oh, yeah. Just some number synchronicities in the comments. The name Peter. Go with it. Yes. I love this. Okay, beautiful. Let me see if I had any other things that I need to mention. Da-da-da. Nope. Okay. So that was the last of the presentations. We got through that. And please do it again. Please do it again. You can always email me if you've got a question the next time you go back in and you're trying to sort through it. Just say in the email, I was in your Meet Your Spirit Guide class and I have a question. So yes, you can always email me. I will be releasing the decoding angel messages and numbers early March. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll keep peeling back the layers of what we're doing tonight and bring on more information. And uh, I would expect that you'd probably sleep pretty well tonight because of the relaxing breath work and relaxing the body that we did. So, yeah, you should feel pretty good tonight. And I'll have this up and I'll send you the landing page on my website where you will find this video and my slides. So you'll have that here in a little bit and you can do it as often as you'd like. So thank you for joining me in class. I'll go ahead and stop our recording.